Welcome to the Insurance Producers Podcast, where we bring you the top personalized producers, insurance agents, and industry partners, giving you at least 3 takeaways to 10x your production and build your multi-million-dollar revenue books. So sit back, relax, and become inspired by the success stories and strategies of the world's top insurance minds. Let's roll. Everybody, welcome back to the Insurance Producers Podcast. Man, I'm excited about today's episode. I call him the Godfather, but he can call himself whatever he wants. Hey, Dave Jackson. A lot of you guys know Dave Jackson. Dave Jackson, man, how you doing?
Well, Cyrus, how you doing?
I am doing great, man. Thanks for asking. So I've known Dave for 2 or 3 years, and I met him obviously through he'll share a little bit about IOA, one of the Facebook things and the reasoning behind it. One of the biggest reasons, man, I have Dave on the podcast is because he truly cares about the independent channel. He truly cares about the producers. He truly cares about the agency owners. And I really want to kind of get his story, man, about how he created it and what some of the things that he's done in the past, and how that translates over to how it could potentially help a lot of the other producers that are going to be maybe agency owners at one point, and then obviously the agency owners right now that are listening to the podcast and how it could. But all that we will talk about. But first, man, I want to thank you for being here, and I want you to maybe just take a quick second, a little past history, man, about your insurance background, real quick, and we'll go dive into other things.
Okay, well, let's make it a quick second because I've been in this industry 45 years in July. So I'm not going to bore you with every little step along the way, but I've worked for carriers. I've owned 5 different agencies, and I started all 5 of those from scratch.
Wow.
I had 2 All-State agencies, one in Iowa, where I started my agency career, and that's where I'm from originally. And then sold that back to the company, actually, and then relocated to Omaha, where you are. So I had an All-State agency out in Westo at 168th and Center. I had that one for 4 years. And I sold that to an outside buyer and then relocated to Arizona. And I became a State Farm agent there. So that was my 3rd agency. State Farm didn't care for me much because I was too much of a rebel. Didn't matter if you were selling. I ranked number 4 out of 35 agents in new business. But they had 6 different product types. And if you're not cranking it in all 6, adios. They kick you to the curb. And they did. So I said, never going to happen again. I'm going independent. So that was about 12 years ago. And that was when my first launch into the independent world. And I knew maybe 5 broker agents, independent brokers, maybe 5, because I knew all the captives. So, since then I've been independent, and I'm getting ready to semi-retire here one of these days. Who knows when?
That's awesome, man. Well, that's a lot of wisdom, man. 45 years. For people that are in it, man, that are newer into it, right? And a lot of the guys are, whether they're starting their agency scratch, man. What's an advice, man? What's one of the lessons you learned maybe from the 2 Allstates and the State Farm starting all over?
As far as the captives go, if you're working in the captive side right now, you get a lot of good training from those carriers. They're really good at it. They teach you the ins and outs. They only need to teach you one carrier, which makes it easier. But they just teach you the system. And so it's good. It's good training. It's good background. But if you're looking to become independent because you have to turn down this client or that prospect because they don't have an appetite for it and you can't write it, that's frustrating, especially when you see real prime clientele and there's something out of the norm or out of the underwriting criteria that your carrier will accept. And you're like, gosh, 4 good policies and just that one they won't take. And so I lose the whole account. That's why a lot of producers or captives spin over to the independent side because they get so many more options, obviously, amongst carriers, amongst appetites. I have access to potentially 3,000 carriers. So if it's something I want to insure, I can do it. and usually at a pretty decent rate. But what I'll tell you, because of timing here, Cyrus, we are recording this April of 2024. So this isn't captive stuff. This is independent world.
Mm-hmm.
So right now in April 24, we are about, I would say over a year now into the hardest market I've ever seen in 45
Mm-hmm.
years.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I mean, I've seen markets generally cyclical, right? Up and down, up and down. Carriers take rate, then they recover, then they take rate, then they Allstate, I was an Allstate agent twice. They're one of the worst or the best, depending on how you look at it. Knee-jerk reactor carriers is what I call, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, our underwriting loss ratio is a 112. We got to take rate. And then they get it down to 102, and then they jump back up. Oh, we got to take rate. So they just jump. Oh, it's terrible. As agents, give me 3% increase every year. I'd
Mm-hmm.
much rather have that. Your clientele can
Mm-hmm.
tolerate it. But when
Mm-hmm.
you have those peaks and valleys and big jumps and even big drops, it makes your clientele uneasy. So that's a big challenge. But right now in this hard market, it's like nothing I've ever seen. It is
Mm-hmm.
more difficult now for captives trying to transition into independent, or brokers, or I'm sorry, producers wanting to become an agency owner. The carrier appointments are almost non-existent. They probably
Mm-hmm.
are non-existent for
Mm-hmm.
somebody new. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't have a relationship with a carrier
Mm-hmm.
right now, I mean, 2 years ago, you could get a dozen appointments probably with no problem at all within a
Yep.
week. Not
Yep.
today. Today, and that's the number one challenge. Even if you decide you want to go through a network slash cluster slash aggregator, they don't have access to appointments
Mm-hmm.
to carriers. Carriers are sometimes leaving them. So
Mm-hmm.
it is, if you can get that access, generally speaking, for right now, producers are going to have to sit tight if they're
Mm-hmm.
working, with an agency, and build their book. Talk to the owner of the agency about equity in that book, so that when
Mm-hmm.
you're ready to leave, and I don't know when it's going to be, a year, 18
Mm-hmm.
months, 2 years, whenever it is, that you actually can take that book with you and do something with it. If you didn't have that in your contract to begin with, and you only got new business commissions, or maybe even renewal commissions, but no ownership, talk to your principal about it and explain to him, listen, I don't want to leave here and pilfer your accounts. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to violate my anti-piracy or non-solicit agreement that I
Mm-hmm.
have that I have signed. Not going to violate that. So what I want to do is maybe renegotiate my contract. I want ownership in what I produce.
Yep.
It'll benefit you and me both if and when I leave. And because I have aspirations of being an owner. And if that owner doesn't accept at least a conversation, you're probably working for the wrong person.
Correct.
Because in all my years, I've had, I counted the other day, I think 13 different staff members, producers, slash even sometimes CSRs go on to start their own agency. And that's a really cool thing for me as a agency principal. Even on the
Mm-hmm.
captive side, I had 4 All-Staters were my staff members who went on to be All-State agents. And I had a couple of state farmers, even though I was only there a year. I had a couple of them who went into their agent aspirant program, which is like
Yep.
aspiring, to be an
Mm-hmm.
agent program. And not so much on the independent side, but more on the captive side for me. But there's lots of principles of independence out there who have producers who don't see themselves in a producer role forever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
Now you need to know. So I'm just going to ramble here. So you need to know your strengths. Okay. Today I love producing. You see so many people out there stop working on your agency or in your agency and work on your agency. That's not for me. I don't think
Right.
that's a blanket that should apply to everybody. I love selling. There's something about making that sale. I don't look at it quite like some of the books you can read that say, it's the thrill of the chase or the kill. I'm not quite like that. But there's a certain, man, especially on the big life cases. I'd make some of those and I'd be like, well, walk out of their house and I'd be like, I did a good thing today, and it makes you feel
Hmm.
tremendous. And that's why you're
Hmm.
in this business. That's why you're in it, get in it, and that's why you stay in it. So, yeah, I would tell if you've got producers listening to this and they think they want to be an owner at some point, I would tell them to go. If they want to contact me, I'll buy them a book called The E Myth. You probably read it. A lot of
Hmm.
people have. It's very, very
Hmm.
popular. And the E Myth, basically, it's a story. The author follows a gal who loves to bake cakes. She's just a huge cake baker, right? Really good at it. She just makes them out of her house and just for friends and family. No big deal. It's a hobby because she's good at making cakes. And somebody convinces her that you should do this as a business. You're amazing at it. You're like the best we've ever seen. So she does, and she fails miserably. She can make cakes. She's the hands-on person,
Hmm.
but she doesn't understand the business aspect, the hiring employees. Because if you're a one-man person, like a cake baker, you're very limited. You're
Hmm.
trading time for money, and there's only so much time in the day. So what do? Do you hire and teach those people? Well, I'm afraid they're not going to be, do it quite like I want to, and it won't taste
Hmm.
like my cake. And, although you got to trust, but the book's really good about explaining that. It's like a three-legged table, and
Hmm.
baking the cake is one of the three legs of the table. Managing the business is another leg. So I'm not going to
Hmm.
give it all away, but it's an excellent book, quick read, and it'll explain to you that as a producer, all you do is show up and sell. That's all you do. You don't have to worry about tracking commissions or managing contracts. You just go sell, maybe deliver a policy or two. But the rest of it, the background, the E&O, the utilities, the rent, all the stuff that your agency principal does because they've got those responsibilities and responsibility of managing and hiring and firing employees. Those are huge responsibilities, and if you don't understand that going into ownership, it could be a really rough road. So yeah,
100%.
get a hold of me and I'll buy somebody the E Myth.
Yeah, that is very, very generous, man. Very, very generous. Question for you. So today, I know you talked about the tough market. It is a tough market, of course, on a lot of different products potentially. So what are some things? I know you've been in it for 45 years. I know you haven't had this tough of a market, but in those tough markets, I know you have been in the industry for a long time. You've had some tough markets like 08, 09 maybe was a little bit tougher, nothing like today.
Yeah, yeah.
Like what are some things that producers potentially or agency owners can do, man, to kind of tackle the hard market today, and get ahead of it, right, when this thing kind of turns?
Yeah. So what's happening in this hard market, you'll hear a lot of agencies talk about how successful they are right now in this hard market. These aren't the producers who's starting on day one, that don't have carrier contracts, but those agencies that have had appointments, been producing for, how long, however long, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years plus. They are finding ways to manage their own business, maintain a higher retention. And of course, their phone's ringing off the hook because everybody's rates are increasing. So everybody around town is calling around looking for relief. So a lot of agencies' phones are ringing. So that's helping their producers. So agencies themselves who've had appointments and good, solid relationships with carriers and have had strong books of business are doing very well right now. So, but that's just because they've prepared to enter this kind of a hard market. Your newer agencies, a year, 2 years or less, they're finding it much more difficult. So what I say, what I've been telling your younger agency owners and producers in current agencies is prepare for the after. When we go back to what we call a soft market, you need to be prepared because things will explode and you will be, well, as we say in the business, riding the wave then. So right now we're on the down trot of the wave, but boy, when it comes back up, oh my gosh, those are the days that you have to be prepared for. So what do I mean by being prepared? It means having your CRM in good shape, having your data clean. It means, not only your CRM, but your pipeline. It needs to be full, like as chock full as you can get it.
Mm-hmm.
Because in 6 months, 12 months, 18, 24 months, somewhere in there, maybe, nobody knows for sure. When this busts loose and carriers are back to normal type underwriting and, new business acceptance and start offering appointments again to some of those producers who want to go out on their own, that's the time to be ready. If you're not ready, oh, you're just going to leave so much money on the table. You'll just blow your
100%.
mind so much.
100%. No, that completely makes sense. So, Dave, you're very involved on the agency owner panels. You're very involved, obviously, IAOA. For people that don't know, a lot of agency owners know, of course. For people that don't know, why did you start? What was the purpose behind it? Like, I'm curious on what you and what you have built so far. It has helped me tremendously. So I'll talk on that, but I'm just curious on the background of it.
So, for those of you don't know what IAOA is, it stands for Insurance Agency Owners Alliance. I was the original founder because we created a Facebook group. I created a Facebook group that was a little over 10 years ago now. This past January was our 10-year anniversary. I had just transitioned out of State Farm and became an independent agent. I knew exactly what I wanted to do
Hmm.
by doing that. While I was a State Farm agent, I had a really good experience in a neighborhood Facebook group. My office was in my State Farm office was in a strip mall, typical State Farm office, and it was 1 mile from where I lived. And I lived in a master plan community, about 4,000 homes. So it was a good sized neighborhood. And there really wasn't any communication. There were some apps out there, Nextdoor,
Hmm.
but a lot of folks were creating Facebook groups. Somebody didn't do that for our neighborhood for some reason. Well, I built new. I built a new house. So we were one of the first ones in the neighborhood. And so I decided, I'm going to create a Facebook group. And because I didn't really know too many neighbors, that was really the purpose of doing it. I never mentioned insurance once, never,
Hmm.
unless somebody brought it up and I had to respond. But I didn't advertise insurance, never said I had a State Farm agency. We're a mile down the road. What I did was, to grow that group, what I did was, since I didn't know too many neighbors, I recruited one of the neighborhood moms. Then I knew her and I knew she knew everybody. And I said, hey, we're
Hmm.
creating a new group. Can I make you a co-admin? And you invite the neighbors. Oh my gosh. Within a week, it was like blowing up. So that didn't take long. And what I did, though, to become known in the neighborhood was I offered free services and I learned the HOA rules. What I
Hmm.
found out was, and I did that because I found out that nobody reads their HOA bylaws. Nobody. They're lucky if they know a few plants on the plant list, right? So I became the HOA expert. Oh, Dave knows the answer to that. Dave knows. Ask him. And so I would copy and paste a section of it and say, here it is in writing. And I'd post it as an answer to their comment or their post, a
Hmm.
comment to their post. And so for my agency, though, what I did was I offered free services. Come to my office for free shredding, free notary service just for
Hmm.
neighbors. What else? Free passport photos. And then I do a pizza drawing giveaway and I deliver a pizza myself to their door. I do that like once a month. So I did free stuff. It cost me next to nothing to do some free stuff. And in a year's time that I was with State Farm, I wrote 414 households in my neighborhood just because they knew that's who I was.
The good neighbor.
I didn't say anything about insurance the whole time. But what that did, once I left State Farm and became independent, that spurred my idea to, you know what, maybe first off, I did it selfishly. I should tell you that. Because as an independent now, I knew a handful of independent broker friends. And I said, come on, guys, join my group. And it didn't grow very fast at first. So I had to beg them, I need you guys to recruit your friends. And they did. It slowly started to grow. Within a year, we were a few hundred members. And today, fast forward, we're over 10 years old and we have just under 10,000 members. So there are 35 to 38,000 independent agency owners in the United States. And in our group, there are almost 10,000 of them.
Wow.
So
30% of it,
almost a third of all in the U.S. And our members are all over the country in every state.
Right.
So it just grew, and I spent $0 on advertising, no promotion. It's all organic, and it's close to 90+% referrals. Facebook does a little bit of referral and recommendation of our group, but our group is for two people, people who have two characteristics. You must be an agency principal / owner / partner, have an ownership stake in your agency, and you must be independent. That's it. I don't say you have to be P&C, life health, Medicare, senior benefits. Doesn't matter what lines of business. Just be independent. You can't be a captive. You can't be a carrier person, employee. You can't be a staff of an agency. You must have an ownership stake in the agency. I've had a number of agency principals. I'm not kidding. Probably a dozen or two during these 10 years who've said, I really, really, really like the group, and I'd love to have my office manager in the group. And my first question is, do they have agency ownership? No, but what percent do they need? I said, I don't care. 1%. I don't measure it, and I don't ask people, if you're a partner, what's your percentage? I don't ask that. Just, I take it for your word that you're a partner. You have some ownership.
Correct.
People, principals have made their office managers or other employee staff, this is my perpetuation plan. This is the person who's taken over when the day comes. So if I make them a 10% owner now, I said, make them a 10% owner. I'll take you at your word. When that happens, let me know, and we'll add Jimmy or Sally or whoever it is.
Right.
And I bet over a dozen of them have done that in 10 years, just so they could join the group, because they get so much value out of it. So it's a peer-to-peer group, Facebook-based. That's the other third requirement. You must be using Facebook. But other than that, it's free. Obviously, we don't collect dues. There's no cost. And people will post questions about everything under the sun. You've seen them. So market search is a big one, employee questions, compensation questions, carrier questions, carrier meaning underwriting or claims. So I could tell you
anything. I was just on a call with Vonage because we're moving our phones over to Vonage, and I just jumped over to IOA and just searched Vonage and got feedback. And I told the guy, I said, dude, listen, I'm in a group and I'm seeing that 6 people are saying your customer service sucks. He goes, no, I know this and this. And he explained I understand his concept, and everybody has obviously opinions, good or bad, unfortunately these days. And that's not what I'm taking to make a decision on certain things. But there are some things that I go research and I say, okay, what does IAOA say about it? I use that feedback to go back to those people to say, hey, listen, you got to work on this or work on that when I'm talking to them, or I use it all the time to go do different things. So I got Vonage because people recommended it on IAOA. So I do a lot of our stuff through it. And also, like when I want to write a business in other states that maybe I'm not licensed in, or other agencies, our agents are not licensed, and we send that business over to our peers, which has been pretty awesome. So,
with 10,000 members, we got hundreds of members in every state. So, it's a little bit like a private Yelp group, a review group
Sure.
of products and services that we all use.
100%. So Dave, what are some things, man, for and even if agency owners on IAOA maybe they don't know about it, what are some benefits of IAOA? What are some things that you're doing? I know you're doing some stuff to obviously help the agency owners, give them some things that they might have a hard time going and getting it themselves by having some partnerships and stuff. So anything that you want to share on that end?
Yeah, I've been working on some things. For the last 6, 7 years, I've taken an annual survey of our members and said, hey, if we could provide you with a benefit because of our numbers, what would it be? And there's some crazy things, that aren't possible, but then there's some real great suggestions. And I take a look at them, say, okay, sometimes I recruit several members to join me on a committee and we hash through it and say, what could that look like? And can we do it? So, in the last 2 years, we've partnered with one of the agency networks. Some people call them clusters, aggregators. I use the term network. So they're going to provide market access. Of course, timing couldn't be any worse. Started that a year ago, December, and then within 4 months, we got up to about 100 new members that IAOA referred to the AC companies, and the hard market drops, and there's nobody offering appointments, so it just nobody is. So in fact, they're dropping appointments. I hear stories about that all the time. Versus giving out new appointments, they're taking away appointments. It's tough, but we still have that available. But they just launched a sister company, and I just posted about this a month ago. The Brokers LLC. So the Brokers LLC was originally based in Texas. It's now transitioning to Ohio, where the AC is located, and they are offering a host of unique carriers, not your mainstream carriers like Steadily or Openly or Honeycomb, carriers like that, and a bunch of MGAs. So it might be E&S market that you need. A lot of folks are going to E&S markets where they never would have had to consider it before. So that's a viable resource. So altogether, over 20 plus resources, MGAs, carriers, and I will tell you here today, soon to be announced, a major personal lines carrier coming here. Could be any day. I've been saying that for 4 months. They're just slow in getting their ducks in a row. The carrier is. So I'm under an NDA, so I can't disclose their name. But there'll be a major carrier, and that'll be at no cost. The Brokers is at no cost, and you get 100% ownership and 100% commissions paid to you. All the Brokers take is an override from those carriers. That's it. So it's an amazingly good deal. If agencies are looking for access and they didn't think there's any way there are appointments available, these are carriers that are offering and taking business. Again, depending on your state, everything's depending on your state, certain aspects of the risk, like high fire score or whatever it might be. So every carrier's still got their own appetite. That probably will never change. So that's been real beneficial because a lot of agencies have had a hard time getting access to carriers that they can write with right now. So you can go to IOA.com and click on market access, and you'll be able to get access to both of those, the AC and their platform program and the Brokers LLC. So those are two things that have come out in the last couple of years. Just last week, we launched a new program where we partnered with Trusted Choice, the marketing arm of the Big I, our nation's and our industry's largest association. And Trusted Choice has been in among other things, for Big I members, they provided SEO for their websites, Google preferred placement on searches, and also what they call claimant leads, which work a lot like Uber for insurance leads. for folks who are shopping online and providing agents with online leads. And they contacted me middle of last year and said, "Hey, just to let you know, hadn't even met them. Obviously I knew them, but I didn't know the people that run it. Chip is the guy who runs it. He's the CEO." And he called me up and he said, "Hey, I just want you to know that we've finally gotten approval to offer our products, Trusted Choice products, to non-Big I members." I'm
Mm.
like, sweet. What can we do with that? He says, "I want you to white label our program." So I said, cool. So for the next few months, we worked on putting that program together, and that was just launched last week.
That's
So the
awesome.
IOA name is IOA Lead Gen, and you go under benefits at IOA.com and you'll find Lead Gen. Fill out the form and read about the product and services, and you'll schedule yourself a demo so you can get access without being a Big I member for the first time ever.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of folks who work online leads and struggle with what they get and how they are
Mhm.
able to manage and convert leads to sales. So
That's awesome.
that's been a product. Before the end of the month, I will be announcing another new product for exclusively for IOA members. The name is going to be IAOA Benefit Platform, and we've been working with USI Insurance, one of the largest group benefits and agencies in the nation, if not the largest. And they are going to provide to our members group health insurance, dental, vision, DI, disability insurance, group life,
Wow.
other things too, like E&O, pet insurance, travel insurance. So all those kind of groups of benefits that they can provide for themselves and their staff. It's not for their clientele, it's for them and their staff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's group benefits for the agency. So
That's
that's coming
huge.
out before the end of the month. Let's see. I also do my own podcast called
Mm-hmm.
Collabcast. You can find those episodes at ioa.com under media. And almost a year ago now, we'll be in July. This month, we'll be launching our fourth issue, quarterly issue of IOA Focus, which is a digital magazine. And we highlight one IOA member on our cover. And then there's great trade information, and our partners provide advertising revenue for us. And those are a great read. And it's more like a flip book. You click and go to page to page to page. And they're usually about 32 or 36 pages long.
Mm.
They're pretty quick read. So, but we've published 3 so far, and the 4th one comes out this month. And we'll be renewing that for another year starting in July on a
Cool.
quarterly basis. So that's called IOA Focused exclamation point, a digital magazine. So those are just
Wow.
some of the things that we've been working on
That's
for
awesome.
members in the last 2 to 3 years.
That's awesome, man. Well, me as one of the members, I want to thank you for all the things you're doing, man, because it's really hard right now, obviously, like you said, to get the market access. I personally, our agency would love a lot of that benefits that you basically just mentioned, the health insurance side, the dental side, all that pet stuff, like stuff that like we as agency owners, like I don't know who to go to right now to get members, and our agents would love, and our obviously employees would love that, would love all that stuff. So that's really exciting, man. I'm excited for that and all the other things. And I want to ask you, unless you want to share anything else, I want to ask you one last question, man. And I think we're going to end this. We're at that 30-some minute mark. So do you have anything else, Dave, that you want to share about IAOA, about anything else that you've got going on?
We are going to be, and I think I talked with you about it a month or two ago. We're going to be launching, I don't have an exact date yet, but we are creating and we'll be launching a mastermind program. So these will be small groups, 12 members. They'll be regional. We'll have 9 regions around the country. So majority of it, they'll be hybrid, but majority of it will be via Zoom call. So it'll be remote. And it'll be monthly meetings. My hope is that each one of them will elect, I'm leaving it up to them, but they'll elect to have an in-person meeting once a year, maybe twice a year if they grow to that. but there'll be 12 seats, and the seats are going to be different, open to different types of agencies. Then we'll also those will be 9 of those, and then we'll also have, because you and I talked about it, I really love the idea. We're going to have a mega mastermind for larger agencies. These can be anywhere in the country, and they'll be of a certain size or larger, so they can get together and intermix and mingle and talk about the things that they have in common, which are different than a small 5-employee or less shop. So that's something that I'll put together, and that'll probably come out. Yeah, I don't have a date, but probably sometime late second quarter.
Cool.
Maybe June, July, something like that.
That's awesome.
So that's coming out too. We're really, really excited to announce this new carrier. People have been asking me like all day long, and I have not broken my NDA once, never mentioned their name. Other people know, but they know, and they say, "Can I confirm?" I'm like, I cannot confirm or deny. So, but man, they're dragging their feet like crazy. It's understandable. But when they do, it's going to open a lot of doors for a lot of people
100%.
In a difficult time, and I'll be almost like a savior, for some folks.
100%. I can't wait, man. That's going to be exciting for the independent channel as a whole. That's going to be really, really. That's going to be that's going to be a great day. So
this is like
all right.
Biggest news since I've been in on the independent side.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that big.
Yeah. Sure.
And people are right now, they're listening to this going, whatever. And boy, when we announce it,
it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for it. Get on that wait list, man. Connect with Dave.
Exactly.
If you want this carrier, and he can connect you. I did the same thing.
Through IOA.com. Just hit the subscribe button and say you want the broker's link. That's what you want to ask for. The broker's link. And I will send you that link. You can pre-register, so when all those MGAs and all those other carriers you can get to now if they're doing business in your state. But once that carrier launches, I can tell you there'll be a state-by-state rollout. They've already rolled out 2 states. It won't be the whole country at once. That would be suicide. So it will happen over time. Hopefully all 48 states during 2024. But it'll be a state-by-state rollout. So any one person may not get their state right off the bat, but they might get it somewhere down the road fairly soon.
Cool. That sounds good, man. So Dave, man, you got a lot going on, obviously, with IAOA and everything else. And what are 1 or 2 things, man, that you do professionally and personally to win your day? What are some things that you do, 1 thing or 2 that if you could put your head on the pillow, you'd be like, man, I did that 1 thing today. Every day that I do. For me, it's like waking up at 5:30 in the morning, getting a quick workout. It kind of starts my day right. Is there something in your agenda every day that you do to win your day?
So I'm an avid reader. I'm like a voracious reader. I just can't absorb enough knowledge, It's just new information. Sometimes it's audio. Sometimes it's old-fashioned book. I still like books. So, right now, it's in the other room. Right now, there's a hold on. Okay. So some of you might know or have an appointment with Safeco. Safeco's owned now by Liberty Mutual. And one of the guys they had working for them, who's now retired, by the name of Chuck Blondino. I met Chuck during my years with IOA and become good friends. And he retired 2 or 3 years ago now and wrote a book. And the Remarkable Independent Insurance Agency. It's a case study of 11 different agencies that he studied and put in words why they are considered best practices and what they did. If you don't have that book and haven't read that book, it's for independents only. And it's about, agencies who've done this or that, whatever it is, excellently. and it's just the best book ever. I mean, I could read it
Okay.
like, read that book, do another one, come back to that book again every other time. I could read that book that much. Chuck Blondino, just Google it or put it on Amazon. Chuck Blondino. It's his only book he's ever written,
Cool.
but you'll find it in a hurry and grab it. It's a bigger book. It's size wise, it's bigger. It's at least a good inch thick, and it's just chock full of information. Highly
That's
recommended.
awesome. Cool.
So yeah, I'm not reading it right now because I just read it about 6 months ago.
Okay.
But I've read it twice so far. It's not
That's
that
awesome.
old. It's like a year and a half, 2 years old.
Awesome. Well, hey, Dave, I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for being on the podcast, and we'll definitely
My
have you
pleasure.
back again. And I appreciate your time, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Take
All
care.
right, you got it.
Captain Dave signing out.